Hey guys, welcome back to Resin Bell. This month on Resin Bell, we're going to be doing 30 pours in 30 days. Oh my gosh. A resin on a resin channel? Shocking. I know, right? So we're going to be working with UV resin, epoxy resin. We're going to be doing dirty pours, coasters, jewelry, trays, all kinds of different things. So it's going to get wild. So I hope you guys stay tuned.
So today I'm going to be using this skull mold, and I got this from Temu, and I will leave a link to that in the description box below. And if you use my link, you get I think 20% off, so go check that out. I'm going to be using some UV resin from Counterculture DIY, and we're going to be making some little skull charms. So I decided on these three colors, the pink, light green, and light purple from Light Wish, and these work pretty well with the UV resin. And I do have that in my resin links in the description box below from Amazon. Okay, so I'm going to be using Shooting Star glitter from Counterculture DIY, just the tiniest little bit because I don't want it to be overpowering. I just want it to have a little bit of sparkle. So I'm going to just the tiniest little bit in each color. Okay, so here I just spritzed the top with a little bit of alcohol to pop those surface bubbles from mixing the glitter in, and now I can just go ahead and pour. So something to keep in mind when you're pouring these, you want to make sure that you're pouring them as level as possible. You don't want them to be over poured. If it has a dome on the back, you're going to spend a lot of time sanding that down so that your two halves can match together. If you under pour a little bit, it's a little bit easier to sand those very edges that are too high down, but it's better if you get it just the right amount right in the middle. So the purple color actually ended up being kind of opaque, so I added just a little bit more UV resin to kind of thin it out a little bit. So now I'm just flipping this over, and then I'm going to cure the other side after I cured the first side. Then I flipped it over to cure the back side, and when I went to demold these, they were still a little bit sticky. The top was completely cured, but the underside was still just a little bit tacky. And if your UV resin is tacky, that means it needs to cure more. So I'm just popping these out of the molds, and then I'm going to cure them straight with the light. Okay, so now that these are fully cured, not tacky anymore, I'm just going to take a little nail file, and the edges are kind of raised, and so I'm just going to sand those back and forth on a nail file and make sure the backs are nice and even. Okay, so now to connect the two halves, I went ahead and placed one of the halves inside the mold. Then I'm putting down a layer of resin, not too much because I don't want it to squeeze out, just a little bit. And then I can place the other half on there and line it up. And I figured out this method works really well rather than trying to hold two halves. This worked out really well. So now I can cure those while they're setting in their molds, and then I actually plop them up, turn them over, and allow them to cure on their sides for a little while. And then I can take a little nail file and just very lightly sand that little ridge. If you have any excess, it comes right off. So the next thing I have to do is choose one of these colorful little screw-in eyelets. I also got these from Temu, and you can find those in the description box as well. Just follow my Temu link and you can see all of the products that I have bought through them. And yeah, so I picked out one of each color. I love that there's so many different colors here, and I use those to screw into the tops of the beads to create a charm, kind of a double-sided skull face charm. And this was a little harder than it looks. I wish I had kind of, I don't know, drilled a little hole or done something like that, but I thought it would screw in between those two halves pretty easily, but it turns out UV resin is pretty tough. So take your time and you will get to it. So this is what they look like in the end. I love how they look. Some of them look kind of like matte finish, and that's because of the dust kind of stayed on them, which is kind of cool. Now this one, the screw eye actually broke off because I twisted it too many times, so I just left that one like it was. The rest of them turned out pretty cool. Yeah, I think they're kind of fun. I figure I'll hang these on some keychains and stuff. Now if you do want your finish to be glossy, and if it comes out kind of matte like this because of the sanding, you can add a final coat of UV resin, or you could use like a UV nail top coat, and you just very thin coat, and you can see how that glitter is just really shining through that shiny coat. You don't want to put a ton on there because it'll kind of dull your features and fill them with UV resin. So I'm just taking a little silicone brush here and just very carefully adding a tiny thin layer. And as it sits on that, it'll kind of smooth itself out a little bit. So you can kind of see how the clear coat on top kind of erases or blends or hides those areas where you sanded. It just kind of makes everything smooth together. So here you can kind of see the difference between the two. One's kind of matte, one's kind of shiny. You can see how you can see the glitter a little bit better. So it looks really cool if you want to do that. But I also kind of like the matte finish as well. So thanks so much for watching, you guys. If you want to see more of the videos, check out the link in the description box below.